Caitlin Clark has made the team. Shocker, I know. The real question is, are the coaches going to have the guts to do what's right and make her the starting point guard? Are the coaches going to have the guts and do what's right to make her the starting point guard?
Mitchell, be mad at me. I don't care. Alyssa Thomas didn't make the team either. Oh, shit. I know who I would remove for Alyssa Thomas. I'm not telling you. Y'all not attacking me.
World Cup. Now, when it comes to the ATL Barbie Angel Reese, I just want to wake this up because there were so many people, so many haters who said that, yeah, Angel's just going to be a model. She's just going to do her brand thing. She's not going to take the league serious. And not only is she taking the league seriously, she was selected for Team USA to represent the country in the World Cup. And if that is not a testament that you can do it all and don't let not a single soul on this planet box you in, I don't know what else can do that for you.
Caitlin Clark didn't make Team USA as a simple training camp invite, and she isn't sitting around waiting to find out whether she'll survive the final cuts. Her name is officially on the roster, and based on everything being reported and discussed right now, she may be taking on a much bigger role than simply coming off the bench. Clark is being positioned as a point guard, a primary offensive engine, and potentially even a team leader, the player expected to help run the offense this summer. You would think an announcement like that would be met with nothing but excitement. Instead, within minutes, basketball social media was divided. One particular post began spreading rapidly, and its message was hard to ignore. The post argued that the writer personally would not have selected Clark, not because of her talent, but because of the intense behavior sometimes associated with her fanbase. The concern was that if Clark doesn't receive the minutes, shots, or role her supporters expect, some fans could turn their frustration toward coaches and teammates online or in person. It also claimed that this could fuel false narratives and create unnecessary toxicity around the team. That is a pretty serious accusation. And what's even more surprising is that it wasn't simply some obscure account trying to generate attention. The opinion was being openly discussed by people who closely follow the league and have strong views about how Team USA should build its roster, but perhaps the most surprising part wasn't that someone criticized Clark's selection. It was how quickly the argument gained traction. Almost immediately after Clark's name appeared on the roster, the debate exploded, and basketball fans found themselves split over whether her massive popularity is an advantage for Team USA or a potential source of controversy.
I don't know if these stats is true or not, and honestly, I ain't watched enough of the W this year to really get into the Caitlin Clark banter, but I will say this. There are a lot of great hoopers in the league, and Caitlin Clark is indeed a great hooper. I seen somebody in the comments say, y'all just hate her because she white. That's false. I personally dislike Caitlin because she reminds me of all the white women that I don't like. The women that be like, they'll run up to somebody and damn near smack you to try to get their way, and then point your direction and point the cops right to you and be like, he pushed me. No, ma'am, I was standing here first.
That's the part that's genuinely difficult to wrap your head around. This isn't a controversial selection where the statistics simply don't support the decision, leaving room for reasonable doubt. Caitlin Clark led the league in assists and has become one of the biggest attractions the sport has ever seen, arguably the biggest. Over the past 2 seasons, she has repeatedly shown that she can take control of a game while making the players around her better in the process, and yet, the reaction to Clark making Team USA has felt strangely different. Instead of celebrating the addition of a proven playmaker to an already talented roster, parts of the basketball world have reacted as though something was taken away from them. The excitement over a stacked Team USA lineup has somehow been overshadowed by an argument over whether Clark deserved to be there in the first place.
Just with the World Cup roster being announced this morning, what does it mean to you to be on that roster for the first time?
Yeah, obviously really exciting. Anytime you wear USA across your chest, it's a tremendous honor, and to be surrounded by so many great players, some of which have already won Olympic gold medals, some have been on the World Cup team before, and obviously I get to share it with AB too, so it's pretty cool and pretty fun, and I'm excited about it. Obviously I got a ways to go to get there. August is a really, really busy month. It's a big month for us. It's a challenging month. We play a lot of really good teams, so take it one day at a time, but just a big honor, and I'm really excited.
So let's ask the question that very few people seem willing to say out loud. Is some of the backlash really about Caitlin Clark becoming a central part of Team USA's backcourt? Because when you strip away all the noise, that's where this debate appears to lead. The conversation is often framed around toxicity, fan behavior, and the reaction Clark supporters might have if she doesn't get the role they expect. Those concerns can certainly be debated, but there's another possibility worth considering. Some critics may simply disagree with the idea of Clark being the guard expected to run the show, and that's what makes this situation so fascinating. fascinating. Clark isn't just joining the roster, her potential role is what has people talking. Whether you see her selection as completely justified or think Team USA should have gone in another direction, one thing is clear, the debate surrounding her place on the team is becoming almost as big as the selection itself.
Caitlin, girl, what are you doing? Who told you you could go 1v1 with Asia Wilson? I want to know. I used to say I want to move through the world like a mediocre white man because their confidence is through the roof, no matter what. I want this confidence. I want to know what it is because that was Asia Wilson and it did not end well. And then she said, "Ooh, we in Gainbridge. They gonna call this flop," but they didn't. Girl, ain't nobody touching.
Think about what Team USA would actually look like without Caitlin Clark for a moment, because that comparison puts this entire debate into perspective. You have Aja Wilson, an elite talent and one of the most dominant all-around players in the game, with multiple MVP awards and the ability to impact both ends of the floor. Beyond Wilson, however, the roster's mainstream star power becomes a different conversation. That isn't meant as an insult to the other players or a dismissal of their accomplishments. Team USA still has depth, experienced veterans, and championship-level talent built through years of international success. But there's an argument that Clark brings a different kind of impact. She has become one of the league's biggest draws, capable of attracting attention far beyond the usual basketball audience. Casual fans, families, and even people who rarely watch women's basketball know her name and are more likely to tune in when she's playing. That combination of on-court playmaking and enormous public interest is something Team USA can potentially benefit from, and it helps explain why her role on the roster has become such a major talking point.
Caitlin Clark should be the logo of the WNBA and the NBA. After the 2024-25 NBA season, people were complaining that the ratings were collapsing. The storyline of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese was better than anything that the NBA had produced in years, so everybody watched the WNBA. Caitlin Clark pulled everybody back into watching basketball. The following year in 2025 and 2026, the NBA had double the viewership in the NBA Finals because people are now buying storylines again. The same way that people wanted to see Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, people want to see Victor Wembanyama versus the New York Knicks. Caitlin Clark saved the NBA's viewership. So what Caitlin Clark did for basketball is bigger than just women's college basketball and the WNBA. Caitlin Clark should be the logo of the NBA because nobody would be watching the NBA at all if it weren't for Caitlin Clark.
And that isn't simply a talking point pulled from nowhere. Caitlin Clark's impact can be seen in measurable areas like attendance, ticket demand, and overall audience interest. Over the past 2 seasons, games featuring Clark have frequently drawn significant attention, with some venues seeing much stronger crowds than they typically attract. Now imagine that level of interest attached to a major international tournament, especially the Olympics, where the global audience is already massive. Without Clark, Team USA would still have an elite roster capable of drawing loyal basketball fans and supporters of the national team. But with Clark involved, the potential audience becomes much broader. Her presence can bring in casual viewers, younger fans, families, and people who may not normally follow women's basketball closely. That can translate into stronger ticket demand, increased television and streaming attention, and greater visibility for the sport. So when someone argues that Team USA would somehow be better without Clark, the obvious question is, better in what way? From a basketball perspective, that debate can be analyzed on the court. But when it comes to exposure, audience interest, and the opportunity to grow the game, Clark's presence clearly gives Team USA another powerful advantage.
Are the coaches going to have the guts to do what's right and make her the starting point guard? Are the coaches going to have the guts and do what's right to make her the starting point guard? I don't agree with it, but I can at least see the argument during qualifiers, right? Okay, she missed a whole season. She's coming back from injury. We haven't seen her play for a while. All right, we'll start with Chelsea Gray, and then Caitlin Clark will come in and be the backup. I don't agree with it, but I can at least see the argument, right? I can try to see the reasoning. But going into the actual World Cup itself, in the middle of the WNBA season, while Caitlin Clark is absolutely destroying the league, while Caitlin Clark is clearly the best point guard in the league, and with no Olivia Miles for them to agenda themselves into putting as the starting point guard over her, there's absolutely no way that Caitlin Clark doesn't start, right?
Here's where the conversation gets really interesting, because at its core, this doesn't always feel like a basketball argument, regardless of how it's presented on television or social media. It's difficult to argue that Caitlin Clark's presence automatically makes Team USA worse without seriously examining her playmaking, shooting, efficiency, and overall impact on the court. Once you look at the basketball itself, the debate becomes far more complicated than simply saying she doesn't belong. What may be driving some of the criticism is what Clark represents. She's relatively new to the international stage, yet her arrival brings an enormous amount of attention with it. If she becomes one of the most discussed players on the roster, she could receive more media coverage and public attention than established stars who have represented USA basketball for years. That shift in attention can be uncomfortable for some people, but popularity doesn't erase basketball ability, and established reputations shouldn't automatically determine who gets the opportunity to play. Ultimately, Clark's role should be judged by what she contributes on the court, and that's where the real conversation should begin.
Not putting Caitlin Clark on the U.S. women's basketball team is one of the biggest failures of basic business that I can remember ever seeing in the modern world of sports. Over the weekend, Caitlin Clark sold out Washington, D.C.'s arena. Over 20,000 people showed up. They're all showing up for Caitlin Clark. WNBA viewership, it all is coming basically from Caitlin Clark. She would triple the overall ratings for these games by herself, and due to her popularity, she would make others popular who were playing alongside of her. With the WNBA and women's basketball begging for attention for decades, they have gotten an opportunity, the likes of which we haven't seen. Caitlin Clark is a comet streaking across the night sky, and instead of embracing her star power, you know what they've done? They have decided they would rather be a tiny league that is getting a fraction of the attention it otherwise should be.